Amazon just released 23 images or posters, whatever you want to call them, that are hinting and giving Easter eggs and just showing us what's going to happen with Lord of the Rings on Prime or Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. We're breaking them down. This is part 3 of our 3-part series. We got 7 images left to go to review, to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so first image right here. Another, like we've talked about in the last video, there's a lot of like almost like poor people, like rags or not very nice clothing, dirty hands. This is another one of those. 3 acorns.
Yeah.
Like why? Why?
And they're weird looking acorns too, I'll add.
Yes.
Like you keep mentioning the trees, the white trees.
Yes.
That's instantly what I think, because they look kind of oakish. Those are acorns. So.
Exactly. I think unless they're just throwing random stuff in these actors' hands to take pictures and just throw us off give us curveballs.
Yep.
I think this has to be seeds from the fruit of the white tree of Nimloth that eventually becomes the white tree of Gondor.
Right.
I think that just has to be what it is. Or I also saw some theories where it could be the trees, like seeds to the trees that are in Lorien, where Galadriel ends up residing, living that big giant forest with the huge trees. People are also thinking that it could be those trees as well. But this is the Second Age. We know it's going to be a lot about Numenor.
Right.
I think it's got to be that.
Maybe they're going to do the whole 2-time thing where there's like an earlier time, right?
Okay.
The Numenorians just barely got to Middle Earth or something, and they're trying to establish a foothold.
Yes.
So everybody's a little bit rougher, right? Because they're pioneers.
Okay. Okay. No, I like that idea. Like The Witcher kind of did that, and it really confused me. So I hope that they make it clearer.
I think it'll be a little clearer. So the problem with The Witcher is that they did wrong was that all of the show, like every single scene, had the same color.
Yes.
Right? So you couldn't tell where you were.
Makes it.
Game of Thrones, you look at one image from any piece of Game of Thrones, you know exactly where you are. It's great. We're in Winterfell. It's bright yellow. We're in the south. I don't remember.
That is good cinematography
so
right there.
I'm hoping that they do the same thing here.
They've got the budget to. That's for
if
sure.
If they don't take advantage or use that education that we all learned, that they learned, I mean, Hollywood learned.
Yeah. You gotta hope.
They should be embarrassed for themselves.
Yeah, true. Okay, next image. I mean, you see that. What do you think?
I think Rohan.
Right.
Instantly.
Right. So the issue that actually isn't an issue is that Rohan, Third Age, like thousands and thousands and thousands of years after the Second Age. We know that this season, Lord of the Rings on Prime, Second Age. But here's the thing. Where did Rohan come from? Well, it came from men, not Numenorians, but men that were on Middle Earth that survived the crazy wars with Morgoth and things like that. And they actually were known as the Northmen or the Eothid. And they had a settlement in between the Misty Mountains and Mirkwood. So just kind of picture that in your mind. They were way far north between those 2 giant locations. Well, there's this huge war. Gondor needs help. Gondor calls for aid. Very similar to what we see in the Third Age in the Return of the King in the War of the Ring. Gondor calls for aid. These Northmen come way far south to help out Gondor. And they're actually, and this is like the beginning of Gondor. So a lot of Numenorians reside in Gondor at this point. So it fits the Second Age. And they're actually awarded a big plot of land that becomes where Rohan lives in the Third Age. So right just north of Gondor, used to be part of Gondor. They're like, hey, thanks for helping. We know you don't really like it that far north. So here, take this land.
That's awesome.
That's how that comes to be. So,
okay, love that.
Yep, so that's that image. Okay, this one. Boom! This is one of the epic ones too. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, Elvish. First thing. Scroll. I don't know. I don't see any rings.
Yeah, no rings unless there's some hidden there.
It definitely looks like Rivendell elves, right?
Right.
Right. The red, the kind of really gold and fancy. It's not. I mean, there's a little bit of green, but it's not like
not Mirkwood-y.
Not Mirkwood.
Yeah, not Sylvan Elf or anything like that. Looks like a map. Could be a scroll, but looks like there potentially could be a map. You see some trees in there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's some cool stuff if you turn it upside down. But I'm thinking, my main guess here, and what a lot of people are thinking, Elrond.
Fair enough.
We know that Elrond will be a main character. He's one of the biggest forces, the biggest...
Are they pulling the same actor in?
No. Oh. No, I think they're going to do, like with Galadriel, they have different actors for him.
Okay.
Even though, they're elves and they're already thousands of years old, they probably look the same.
The actors now don't look the same.
Right, and budget.
And budget. Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with them saving a little bit of budget. I don't mind. I mean,
I kind of want to see some fresh faces.
Yeah, I'm okay with fresh faces.
But I'm thinking Elrond. If it is not Elrond, here's another. I mean, we referenced this person in the second video. Epic. Anatar, Lord of Gifts.
Okay.
Does this look like someone who's dressing up super fancy to come and manipulate you?
Yeah.
Show you
definitely.
some stuff?
He's
teach
got
you?
like a golden belt on. He probably. Yeah.
So Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, is Sauron. Sauron puts on this like really fair form to go manipulate the elves, manipulate the Númenóreans. And yeah, that's how the Rings of Power are created, because he's there with Celebrimbor and he, they're working together. He thinks he's just this, really nice guy, but it's actually the Dark Lord Sauron. And this looks like it could be him. I think it's Elrond, but my second guess would be Anatar. Maybe it's known that he gives a lot of information, teaches the elves a lot of really good, important things that the Valar wouldn't teach them. So maybe it's information about some other like mystical arts or something that they weren't taught.
Okay.
If it is Elrond, though, I think this could be plans to build Imladris or Rivendell. Because you kind of see, like I said, there's images on there. So that's built, that sanctuary is built around this time.
Okay.
So that's the other theory there. This one, another super cool one. I mean, I love this image. What are your reactions to this one?
So it looks to me like that is Minas Tirith, or Gondor City, or whatever you want to call it. On the bottom of a sword. Is there a jewel on that thing? No? No
jewel on the ring. So we've talked about the rings in the first two videos, the first two parts to this series. The Rings of Power had jewels on them. That's how they were separated from like the minor rings that were kind of just tests. No jewel on this one. Okay, a couple thoughts from me. I think this is a scepter, not a sword.
Okay. Okay.
The kings and or queens, there was queens in Númenor too, had a scepter. It was called the Scepter of Annúminas.
Oh.
So I think this is one of the kings of Númenor, or it could also be Tar Palantir, who was a king of Númenor, but he was a good king and kind of tried to get them back on track when they went down some cultish vibes. He also had a scepter, the scepter of that, but could be Elros, who is Elrond's brother.
Okay.
Or the first Númenorian. Like, he started the society and the community, and the descendants of Númenor came from Elrond's brother.
Oh.
He chose to be a human instead, because Elrond is called Elrond Half-Elven, because they had a human or a man as a dad and then a female or an elf as a mom.
Okay.
So the children, Elrond and Elros, were given the choice to remain Elvish or be a human.
Okay.
Elros chose to be a human, started the Society of the Númenóreans. So I think it could be that. But I think I'm probably just guessing that it's going to be just a king of Númenor.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll leave it at that. The city, I think it could be like kind of like a future plan to build Gondor, like you mentioned. That's what it looks like to you. I think it also could be the city of Tirion, which we saw in the first image that they released about this. Or it could be a little reference to Gondolin, which is one of the coolest cities that the elves ever created. Going on to the next one.
That is a Merc Elf, or a Mirkwood, right?
That's what a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah, it's that style for sure.
Very much so. A lot of people are thinking that this is kind of the Mirkwood, kind of the Green Elves, the Sylvan Elves style, like you see in The Hobbit a lot.
Yep.
Not like Elrond, like the High Elves, the Noldor Elves that live in Imladris, Rivendell, those areas. A lot of people, though, are theorizing that this is actually Galadriel, which contradicts a little bit with that theory, because Galadriel is a High Elf. She's not like a Green Elf.
And I don't remember her ever being portrayed as a warrior, though.
No, but you know how Hollywood is.
Yeah, but that's like blackmail, or not chainmail.
Yes.
So I don't know.
It's true. I personally think that they're gonna have her fight because, it's 2021 or 2022 now. That's just how things go.
Girls always fight now.
Yeah, and they're awesome. They're beasts. So, the other tiny little Easter egg here is you see gold and silver, and then you kind of see two trees here at the hilt of the dagger. I think this is a reference to the two trees that are in Valinor. I actually wrote the names here, Telparion and Laurelin. One represented the sun, one represented the moon, gold, silver.
And that makes a lot of sense because it's like a two-tone dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And Galadriel, like I said, High Elven. She lived in Valinor with the gods. She was there when these trees were there. She experienced it, so I could see her more than like a Mirkwood elf or a Green Elf who never went there and saw them would have that in reverence as part of, her. Or it could be just a brand new elf that they want, a new character.
Which
they,
I'm cool
they
with
want to
too.
focus on.
That's
Yep,
fine.
I'm cool with that. Okay. I mean, cool image, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. This one's a cool image.
I'm thinking King of Man though.
Looks like a Numenorian. Numenorian king. Almost everybody is in accordance with this one. Arfarazon the Golden. That was a Numenorian king. He was named the Golden, obviously, because he liked gold and they were a very rich civilization. You see a lot of rings and you see a gem. You see a gem. We talked about how rings of power have gems. Could this Numenorian king become one of the ring wraiths? Or maybe this ring is gifted to one of his heirs and they become a ring wraith? I think there's a high chance.
Okay.
High chance of that.
Maybe his son is the kid with the rope later on.
Could be. We talked about the kid with the rope in, I think, the first video. We weren't really sure what to go with it, but it looked like somewhat fancy clothing, but also not. Like
a rich person trying to be a poor person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he had a ring on too, so we were somewhat theorizing that maybe it could be a future ring wraith, a character that you fall in love with that goes bad.
I'm throwing in my dice. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
We've talked about Anatar, Lord of Gifts. I think it could be another theory that this is Anatar, Lord of Gifts, or Sauron trying to manipulate people, trying to seem really fair and rich. Like, I've got all this knowledge and wisdom, I can pass it to you. Just let's hang out. Listen to what I have to say. Let me manipulate the crap out of you.
Yep.
But I think it's almost certainly a Numenorian king. And our last one, very different, in my opinion, than the other ones we've seen.
Yeah.
You see the gold dust on the hands, which we've seen in some of the images.
Is it not? Maybe it's face paint.
Face paint.
Like makeup or something, right?
Ooh.
Like the Easterlings or whatever, dressing up for whatever.
Nice.
I don't know.
I like it.
Those look a little feminine hands, maybe?
I think it's a girl.
Yeah.
You got the bracelets with gems. I do think it's a female.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that's what the gold is, right?
Yep. So my thoughts on this one is it could be Arpharazon's wife. You see a lot of gold. These are the two images that have a lot of gold, so it could be like a Numenorian queen.
Right.
But my biggest theory actually is this is going to be the first dwarf woman that we see.
Ooh.
Ever. That we ever see.
I would love that.
I think we're going to see it.
Do you think they're really going to commit to the whole, like...
Dwarves have beards?
Dwarves have beards.
Dwarf women
have beards?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm thinking they might have, like, mutton chops, maybe?
Okay, yeah.
Ugh.
Gross.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think that this is a theory of mine. This is my own personal theory that I haven't seen anyone mention. I think it's a dwarf woman.
I think that's a great idea.
That'd be sick. There's all sorts of theories with this one. Oh, man. All of these images, in my opinion, are epic. I know a lot of people have had a lot of worries about the show because this is a universe. The Middle-earth universe, Tolkien's Legendarium, is so respected by everyone. It's amazing, and people are worried that it's going to be wrecked, but these images actually give me a lot of hope that it's on the right track.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, if they... Let's say 70% of your predictions are correct, then that means that they're really going down to the roots and digging their heels in and really playing with the real story. And I think that it could be one of the greatest shows we've had.
I think so. I mean, if you look at it, it has the budget it needs. It has a big production backing it up. Sure, a lot of the actors and directors are unknown, but when Lord of the Rings was filmed, all those actors were very much unknown for the most part. So Peter Jackson, he hadn't done a lot.
Yep.
He didn't have a lot under his belt, and the actors, like I said, didn't have a lot under their belts either,
Yep.
and it made them huge. It was the biggest thing of cinematic experience of all time, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I think this is heading in the right direction.
I would also point out that Amazon has a pretty good track record. Carnival Row, you haven't seen that, I don't know if you have, but
No, I've heard of it.
great show. Invincible, great show. The Boys was a little too crude for me, but
it is popular.
Yeah,
Very
still
popular.
a pretty good show. There's one more. Anyway, Amazon is fairly... Oh, Upload is another one that I think is great. I think they've got a pretty good track record.
Yeah.
And so I have quite a bit of confidence that this will be a pretty good show.
Plus, they're working very closely with Tolkien's estate, so I'm confident that they won't go too far off the tracks with what is actually written, what's set in stone. They have a lot to work with. They have a lot of ways where they can build on things that weren't talked about much, like the Easterlings or the Blue Wizards, things that are mentioned. We know that they're part of his writings, but he never got around to explaining them. I'm okay with them doing it now.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Again, this was a 3-part series. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, we'll have links in the description. Check out more of our videos. We got a lot of good stuff coming your way. A lot of shows and movies that we're reviewing, Easter eggs, cracking down.
Yeah.
It's good.
Go in the comments, nerd out. Let us know what you think.
Yep.
If you think we're crazy, if you think we're right, whatever. Or Landon's right. I'm just copying him here. I don't know. I didn't read the Silmarillion, but if you did, let us know what you think and if you have any predictions yourselves.
Yep. And subscribe to the channel. We'll see you later.